came to me when I first started, and well, I shouldn't say first started, but my first big band to produce was Buffalo Springfield. And I was trying to get to know everybody and figure out who had what song. And in the process of doing that, one of the very few conversations I've had with Stephen Stills was he came up to me and he says, "Hey Jimmy," he says, "you know, there's a really great song that Richie has written, and I want to make sure it gets recorded. So I want to just tell you what the name of it is, and you know, be sure you consider it." So I said, "Yeah, sure." So I was having problem getting all the guys together in the same studio. It's their album, right? But for some reason, I was having a hard time. So I called up Ahmet Erdogan and I said, "You know, I'm not sure what to do," because I said, "You know, working with these guys or trying to get them to work is like herding cats, and very talented cats at that." But so he said, "Well, why don't we bring them to New York? That way, there's studios here. There's nothing really to do here except work." I said, "Okay, you're buying the tickets, eh?" So, and it was my first time to New York too. I was pretty scared of that place, but. So I never went anywhere but the studio. So anyway, we get off the plane and I look around and I don't see Neil, and I thought he was supposed to be on our flight. Well, he never came. So then we get into the hotels and stuff, and I realized that Stephen was there, and that's good. Dewey was there. So we show up to the studio, starting to work on the song, Richie's song, and I don't know what happened to Stephen, but he didn't show up either. And of course the only two that were there were Richie and I, and then all of a sudden Dewey popped in about time the studio time was supposed to start. But if anyone ever knew Dewey, you'd know he was a very spiritual man, right? He loved the spirits. So much so that by the time he got to the studio, he couldn't even sit on the stool. So I asked Ahmed, what could we do? He says, "Well, Arif knows all the players in town." So I asked Arif, "Martin, could you help me? I really need some musicians." So he says, "I will get you the best musicians in New York." And I said, "Oh, great, that's good." So he did. When they all show up, there's Richard Davis on bass, incredible bass player. But they're all jazz players. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do with this? This ain't the album that I want to make. And so we did the best with what we had. We got back to LA, and I was in the studio with Richie saying, "You know, we need to do something. I mean, this is not the song that I thought it was supposed to be, but I think maybe if we could maybe get a steel guitar on it, it'll kind of bend it all back to where it needs to come." So we thought about Red Rhodes. He was a big steel guitar star, and a few others. And so our guitar tech at the time was named Miles Thomas. And Miles said, "You know, I know a guy that lives in Colorado. He's about your age, you know, you guys, and the guy's been playing steel guitar since he was 5 years old. And boy, this might be a great opportunity for him to, you know, be on the record." So we thought, yeah, we got a couple of days. I got things to do. So we flew Rusty in. Yes, Rusty Young was. And of course, in those days, all of us maybe weighed 120 pounds each. Not like now. I have to have lipo injections, you know, in order to keep from getting too skinny. So anyway, Rusty gets on the airplane. He comes out, and he's got his best steel guitar. We get to the studio. He unpacks it. It's broken. They had dropped it off the plane and just destroyed it. So here he is, his first opportunity to play with the big band, and I said, "Well, you know, steel guitar is something that Stephen Stills has been wanting to learn to play. In fact, he bought one, and there's one here." I said, "Why don't we use that?" So I didn't know one steel guitar from the other, so we got it out and said, "Here, tune it." And I'm sitting in the control room waiting for him to get ready, and he's out there upside down with screwdrivers and wrenches, and he's doing something to it. So finally we get it fixed, and I said, "Is it working?" He goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, bring it inside. Let's bring it in the studio." So we put him in there. Started up to tune. We made one pass for him to get in tune, and the next pass I recorded. And as he's recording it and finishing, I look over to Richie and I said, wow. I said, maybe this guy is the guy we need to form a band with. Hence the beginning of Poco and its early stages before it was Poco. That's where it all began. And, you know, if it hadn't been for Rusty, and I just really realized this just recently, and you'd think after 50 years I'd get a clue, but it was such an interesting mistake for the band not to show up at a reef to hire jazz musicians. And what I found out is that Rusty had learned to play jazz before he learned to play anything. So what he did on that steel guitar was take something that was familiar and bring it into a realm to where it could feel country, it could be jazz, and it actually created a whole unique sound of its own. And I think that's one of the reasons why all of us have loved it. And I'd like to dedicate this song to Rusty tonight. I got a good reason for loving you. It's an old-fashioned time. I kinda get the feeling like, ooh, you know when I fell in love the first time. Kind woman, won't you love me tonight? The look in your eye, kind woman, don't leave me lonely tonight. Are you saying it's alright? Remember once before, hearing the old folks say, love's an ageless whole rhyme. But nowadays you know, saying depends so much on the kind of woman that you find. Kind woman, won't you love me tonight? The look in your eye, kind woman, don't leave me lonely tonight. Are you saying it's alright? Kind woman, won't you love me tonight? The look in your eye, kind woman, say